Everyone hits a bump in the road. What do you do with it? Be inspired as we explore the ways people experience, navigate, and manage the ups and downs and twists and turns in this road trip called life. Welcome to another episode of Bump in the Road. The basic podcast is always free. We also have a premium subscription called Bump 2 that lets you listen in on extended behind-the-scenes conversations with our guests. Check it out at www.bumpintheroad.us. Fame, the TV series. Imagine getting cast for that. Then imagine having it all taken away. Fast forward a few decades and Cynthia Toussaint looks back on it all with compassion and wisdom and a great sense of joy. Come meet a fun and remarkable woman. Cynthia, welcome to Bump in the Road. If you would, for anybody who didn't hear our prior conversation, give them a little bit of background on yourself.
Thank you, Pat. It's such an honor to be here. I love your show. I love you. So I was a 21-year-old ballerina, singer, and actor, a triple threat, and I lived to perform. And that's when a ballet injury triggered the chronic pain disease known as complex regional pain syndrome, or CRPS, also known as the suicide disease. And that disease spread throughout my body, actually throughout my whole body. And I got a lot of comorbidities. I mean, gosh, I think I'm at number 20 now, 20 overlapping conditions. And I went through just a lot of hell, surviving all of this and sort of losing my identity as a performer and being told that I was crazy by the doctors and being able to, accept the new me and being able to move on. And then I did that by starting a nonprofit for Grace, where we help women with chronic pain, and we work a lot with the gender bias toward women who have pain. And then, gosh, a couple of years ago, I was suddenly out of nowhere diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, and so I went through the treatment of that. I did it all, my way, the integrative way. And along the way, I'm now in remission. I sort of found my way back to my greatest passions, through my work. And so I'm just happy to be here today.
I find it so interesting. I think life is kind of like a spiral sometimes. We keep revisiting our strengths, even though they morph into different forms. And I look at, your incredible strengths as a performer. I mean, they really are astonishing. I mean, you can dance, you can act, you can sing. You're a beautiful person inside and out. And you've brought all that now to a not-for-profit world where you're doing great things.
And what a reward to be able to use my, as you say, strengths, the things that I love to do, my passions, I would say, to be able to help other people. And that I didn't really know that part of me before I got sick. So that is a gift, if I can dare use that G word, but a gift of illness and realizing that, wow, I get to help other people and I really can help other people. And I find a great reward and in that. And when I get an email saying, I read your book or I've been following you and you really helped me survive what I've been through, my challenges with illness, there's just nothing feels better than that. So I'm really lucky.
I got into trouble using the gift word the other day.
I know.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No. It was my own fault. I probably should have used another word. And somebody said to me that perhaps you could phrase it as just saying this incident, these events, they impact you. And I think a lot of people stay stuck in that that area of woe is me a little bit, or
yes,
of just being sad. And I understand it. We have all been there. But why is it some people pull out?
That's so interesting because the victim mode seems like such a natural place to go when you get really sick and you lose a lot. And I wish I had the answer to what you're saying. Maybe it's who we were before we were ill. I've been reading a lot about trauma. I've read about 6 books about trauma. I just read The Body Keeps the Score. I finished it yesterday. And I come from a very traumatic background, and I believe that's the reason for all of my illness. And when people say, but you're so sick, I mean, how can you do all this? Or some people say, you can't say to me, you can't be sick, because you couldn't do all this. I've always wondered, why is it that I pulled myself out of the victim mode? But I've sort of learned from his book that if you get very involved with what we're going to talk today about, expressive therapy, which are different creative, like the arts, being able to be creative in different forms to express yourself and explore your feelings, that you are less likely to be a victim. I could get a lot into trauma, but I won't. But because I was a dancer, and I danced ballet 6 hours a day for so many years, and I was always involved with community theater, and I was always singing and acting, I think that made me a lot more well before I even got sick. So once I got sick, I think that my brain was sort of integrated better than a lot of people who have a lot of trauma. And when we get sick, I just think that those of us who have been involved with the expressive arts and who can get involved with them again, we tend to not fall into the victim mode. Does that make sense?
I think the expressive arts are very right brain versus left brain. And in our right brain, we can access those deep emotional strengths and reservoirs that we all have. And if we can connect with that, we can affect real change. We can't do it with a linear brain.
That's interesting, because I do know that, like, I'm a piano player, and when I play the piano, if I'm reading music, that's a language, and I'm using the part of my brain that's the part of my brain that gets activated, makes it impossible for the other part of my brain that causes pain to be activated. Or if it is activated, it's like it's so decreased that I have very little pain. I mean, everything else is in the background when I'm living something that's my passion. And I find that fascinating. I mean, literally, not only does expressive therapy give us joy, but it calms down our nervous system. We go from fight or flight, which we're so often in, down to rest and relax. And we have all kinds of stress hormones in our bodies when we're sick and we're upset, and the creative arts also calm that, and those, a lot of those chemicals go away, and we can actually, with expressive therapy, we can repair so much of the damage that's done with trauma. So it's really important as human beings for us to be creative, and it gives all of us joy. And whether we're actively creative, I mean, you don't have to be a singer, you don't have to be a writer, you don't have to be a painter. You can go to a museum, you can watch a movie, you can listen to music, and being passively involved with the creative arts also will bring you to healing. I absolutely promise you.
Talk a little bit about what goes into expressive therapy.
So I'm talking the different forms of therapy are expressive therapy. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Pat.
Either way. Either way, because I think it's incredibly interesting that you have an absence of pain when you're playing music, and I think part of that goes to being in the flow. And when you're in the flow, everything else falls away.
That's interesting. You're in the flow, and you're also in the moment. As an actor, I mean, that's what that's always your goal, is to, as whatever character you're playing, and frankly, singing, I act every song that I sing. I'm in the moment. I can't be anywhere else if I'm doing it well. And so I think it's that discipline of tuning everything else out and just being in that wonderful place. And when I'm literally tearing up, because it feels so good when you find that moment and you're just there, and time just stops. And somebody said to me, when you don't know what time it is, when you forget what time it is, and that's when you know you're healing.
Yeah, it's interesting too. You bring up discipline. I think discipline is actually a big part of it. Years ago, there was a book called Flow by Mikhail. It's a long Czech name that begins with CZ. I won't even try to pronounce it. But okay. It's a great book. It's a classic book. And one of the things he points out is that to get into flow requires work, it requires discipline, it requires knowing what you're doing, how to sing the song, how to play the song, whatever it might be. But once you get into that state where you're totally involved, just as you say, everything becomes timeless. And flow it's where great athletes perform. It's where great scientists find things. And it's something we can all achieve, but you do have to put the effort in.
You do. It's like meditation, which I practice every day. And people always say to me, well, maybe that's what I need to do. But then they'll say, so often, oh, I just fell asleep. And it's like, well, I have to keep reminding them it's work, though. You can't just decide I'm going to meditate. I'm going to listen to a guided meditation and I'm going to be better. You have to work at it. Like they say, it's a practice. And actually, my partner, John, he wants to meditate, but he just falls asleep. And I'm saying, no, John, you have to stay awake and you have to work. You have to do the practice. And it really is, it really is a discipline. It's hard work, but it's really wonderful work. And meditation has brought me to such a place of calm, and it's helped me through really helped me through cancer treatment. And I have far less pain, and I feel like my shoulders just lowered once I got good at meditation. And you can always get better, but my gosh, meditation has changed my life, but it's been a lot of work.
I'm on the same page you are. It has changed my life as well. And one of the great benefits I get out of the discipline is the fact that I control my mind. My mind doesn't control me. Do you find that?
Yeah, I love knowing that every day I have 45 minutes that's just for me. It's just for my self-care. It's Cynthia time. That's extraordinary to look forward to, and then to be in it and to know that I can control my feelings. I can control my body by, if I think about my hands, it's amazing how I can relax my hands. I love that you can pretty much know the energy of your body by just feeling your hands when you're relaxed. And I love when I'm doing guided meditation to go through different parts of my body. And when I think about them, they just relax because I've learned how to do it. And I love having that control, and being, it's a control to make myself, I don't want to say make myself, to allow myself to feel relaxed and to feel really good. And I don't react to things the way I used to. I've gotten really good at, somebody attacked me the other day. I was at the Y and she verbally really attacked me and she was threatening me. And I stayed really calm. And I reminded her that, no, I am disabled. She was saying that I wasn't. I needed a shower stool and really yelling at me, and she was out of control. And I thought, wow, that meditation really works. That kind of put it to the test. And the fact that I could not be reactive, but really stay calm was really cool.
I've had a similar experience, and it's very empowering, actually. But it's interesting
Yes.
you bring up the idea of control, because I think when you get sick, you lose control, and to find control again is such a blessing.
That's a really good point, Pat. I mean, when we get sick, I think that being sick makes us out of control, and we also, so often we feel like we've lost our identity. And then our identity, I felt that way. I mean, who was I if I wasn't, the singer, dancer, and actor? And but then so many of us, I think, get stuck in, I'm sick, that's my identity. I want my life back. I want the life that I had before back. I want to get well. I want to be cured. And I think it's so important for us to, I hate to say it, but I actually don't hate to say it, let go of the cure. If the cure happens, how wonderful. But in the meantime, we're living every day. And if we can think, instead of the cure, if we can think about healing, and doing things that make us feel good, and make us happy and give us meaning, and make other people feel good. To me, that's where it's at. And I'm really into integrative medicine. I don't like the Western care model. It's all fear-based. Going through cancer care was a nightmare because I had to go into the Western system. But what I really did is I worked with a doctor, actually several integrative doctors outside, and they really guided me, and I made ultimately my own choices. But I think it's so important for all of us to explore integrative medicine, which includes Western medicine or traditional, also complementary medicine, which is so important. And also, most important in my mind, self-care or self-management. And that's, again, where we find control. And I think it's so important for us also with our doctors, if we have to go to doctors. I don't like to go to doctors, but if we do have to go to doctors, for us to be in control of that conversation and for us to be in control of of making every decision that we make about anything that we want to do, any kind of treatment, any kind of test that we want to do or don't want to do. It really needs to be our decision, because we go home and live with the consequences of if we do surgery or if we, people say so easily to me, you should do surgery. You should, and it's no, I've never had a surgery in my life, because it's not right for me. And it needs to be, all the medical care that we decide to engage in has to be right for us. I think that if we just do hand over our care to the doctors, which most of us do, I think we end up being really, really sick. And we end up being a lot sicker than we were when we started going to the doctor. So I really don't like Western medicine. I could go on and on and on about that.
No, I'm on the same page. I use doctors as needed, but
Nice.
yeah, but I have to be the one making the decision, and I dread walking in because the first response is always, "Let's order $100,000 worth of tests, and you can pay for it through your insurance, and I'm sure we'll find something wrong." And
Yes,
I prefer,
exactly.
yeah, and I prefer a model where you're, as you say, you're looking at healing. Healing is profound. Treating the causes never leads to healing.
That's interesting. I think that taking care of ourselves, choosing healthy lifestyle choices leads to healing. I mean, I eat a cancer-fighting diet, a really healthy diet. I exercise. Movement is so important. I swim 3 times a week, and I do ballet, Pilates, and Feldenkrais on 3 times a week. So I really move. I am really good at stress management now, and that took me so long. That took me getting cancer to really get good at that and release things that give me too much stress and do things that make me feel good. Sleep hygiene is something else that I got really good at with cancer treatment, and I still get in bed by 8:30 every night, except on Saturday night, just to basically decompress and turn my phone off and not have a screen in front of me. I mean, sometimes I listen to talk radio. I cuddle with my kitties. I meditate sometimes. I'm with my partner, but it's just fully present time, for relaxation. And so those kinds of things are so important. Meditation as well. These are our healthy lifestyle choices, or our not healthy lifestyle choices, play such a big part in whether we heal or not. And that, again, that's where expressive therapy comes in. I just pulled something up that says expressive therapy. I love it. Uses forms of creative expression such as art, music, and dance to help people explore and transform difficult emotional and medical conditions. I mean, when I go see my mother, she has advanced dementia, and she's in a memory care center now. And when I go in and see her, I play the piano for her because she tends to be agitated, or she tends to get agitated, and she calms. Or I'll start singing something from a long time ago, and she just stops and looks at me and generally starts singing with me, and she gets happy, and her nervous system is calming down, and it's wonderful to help other people, especially my mom, feel better with these wonderful creative therapies.
Well, I think creative therapy allows us to certainly express our emotions, and most of us are pretty bad at expressing our emotions. We don't really know how we feel. We don't really know what underlies it. And I think through expressive therapy, you can see so much more deeply into your soul, if you will, than you could just by trying to, again, follow a linear model of figuring out what's wrong.
That's profound. I think that when John, my partner, and John and I, we wrote our memoir together, that was like incredible, like the best couples therapy we ever could have done, because we literally figured our life out, and then it would go into these talking sessions that would last for days and weeks. And I mean, just figuring all that out. And like when you say going into your soul, I'm paraphrasing poorly, but I think we did go into our souls with that writing, and as a result, I don't know why, but I suddenly went into a partial CRPS remission, and everybody asked me, how did you do it? We've all been trying to get you there, and we all want to be there, and I really had no idea. Why could I suddenly swim a mile when I couldn't do aerobic exercise for 19 years and was so miserable? And why was I suddenly walking more and not using my wheelchair as much? And I was just so much more well, and I felt so much better. And why could I started singing at that point because I hadn't been able to sing for 15 years. And I think that it was that narrative therapy. I also left Western care because they were abusing me. They were so abusive and making me so sick. And I went to integrative care, and I just found so much wellness and so much healing. And so that was that. I feel like that was probably because now that you're saying that, probably I was reaching my soul very deeply.
Now, you mentioned you found Feldenkrais. I think that's how you say it. I was introduced to that not too long ago, and it is really, really powerful.
Yeah, Feldenkrais is really powerful, and it's a movement therapy. I know a lot of people haven't heard of it. Learn to move efficiently and to find out what you're doing incorrectly. We're all moving differently, especially if we're dealing with pain. So we're moving. We're making sort of, if I can say, maybe mistakes as we walk or move around. And if we learn how to move more efficiently and find out what we're doing that's incorrect and learn how to correct it, we're in a lot less pain and we're a lot healthier. And when I get in the pool, the swimming pool, I do a lot of, besides swimming, I do a lot of walking, and I walk backward. And it's so funny because a lot of people in the pool walk backward because they're watching me. And somebody just said this to me, like, you look like you know what you're doing, because I was wondering why she was walking backward. So I told her it's actually when we walk backward and use our arms and everything that we make any corrections for anything that we're doing, wrong with our movement. And she was just delighted to hear why she was walking backward. But it's so cool to I believe so much in water therapy. I mean, I think we should all with pain be in the pool, that weightless heaven. It's like swimming in medicine with no side effects except we feel good. I mean, no matter what, I always get back into the pool. I mean, I had a really close friend, and we lost her about 3 years ago, and I think Western medicine literally killed her. But she, no matter what was wrong with me, she would just say, "Cynthia, get back into the pool," and she was always right. Whenever I get in the pool, I feel it's like that's home, and I feel better, and I feel like I'm always healing in the water. That's kind of a heaven. That's sort of like a heavenly meditative area for me as well. I come up with my best ideas when I'm swimming. I write speeches. I memorize things. Yeah, it's very interesting, sort of that rhythm that you get into, and just the sound of it, and being under the water, and it's sort of like dance, in that you're swimming. Not so much right now with COVID, but you're swimming with. It can be like maybe 4 or even 5 people in a lane. And everybody has their own space, and there's something sort of the beautiful about that we all have our space, and we learn to move together. I love that.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you found something in today's podcast that inspires you along your own life's path, because sometimes a bump in the road is actually a portal into a more conscious and meaningful life. You can subscribe to our free podcast at www.bumpintheroad.us or become a premium member to hear the full conversation. Just go to www.bumpintheroad.us for more information and to sign up.